Hello all, welcome back once again to the Kilohearts channel. My name is George and I'm here to do something slightly different today. We at Kilohearts are friends with a local band called Märvel and they have a new single out and a competition to accompany that single to remix or cover the song and make something interesting happen. Well, we just thought that was an opportunity too good to miss. We love to fool around with music and sound, and so I took a little time and did a remix. Here's the original song. And here's a little taste of the bass banger that I've turned it into. And before we dig into it in too much detail, there's something kind of cool about this that I wasn't expecting. It's all from the original stems. I haven't added anything. I thought I'd have to add loads of drums and synths and stuff, but actually all I've done is manipulate the sounds that were already there, which is kind of cool. Let's take a few minutes and see how we did it. So let's begin with the drums, because they're kind of interesting. As I say, they are all from the original drum sounds. So let's take this original kick, turn off all of the processing, and here's what you get. That's just the original kick sound from the track, honest. And what we've done on this particular track is, in Snap Heap, added disperser and a bit of filtering. Basically, that's it. And it sounds like this. Already a bit more powerful, a little bit more electronic. And then in an additional Snap Heap, can you hear the rain, by the way? It's a bit loud. Sorry about that, it's just the way it is. And in an additional Snap Heap, I've got some EQ, some distortion, and some limiting, just to make it super duper powerful. Very dubstep. Here's an additional kick made out of exactly the same sample, with top and bottom filtering, with big Q, bit of distortion, bit of transient shaping, limiting. And these filter peaks tuned to give it a bit of tonality. But essentially that's all that's going on there. And then on a kind of bus, I've got a bunch more compression and aggression going on just to make it super strong. And same deal with a snare here. So there's not a lot going on here besides the original sound. That's just a little snip I took out of the original track, and I've applied a bunch of processing in Snap Heap, some EQ, transient shaping, compression, a delay to make it a little clappier, it's just a little slap back, distortion, compression, bit more distortion, phase distortion, gotta love it. And in multipass, just a little bit of reverb on one of the higher frequency areas. And it turns into this, which is a bit more exciting. Pass it through with the kick. You got something approximating a bass music drum sound. Just took a hi-hat out of the original sound as well. And really, again, just some EQ, reverb, etc. And the other percussion element of note is this cymbal, which again, just came straight out of the original song, and I reversed it to make a nice rise. Really that simple. Now the only other item I've got in yellow is this impact sound, which I thought was a little bit creative. I took a vocal sample from the song. Just a little bit of garbled nonsense, but with a bit of shaping from filters, envelopes, distortion, and a few effects, some delay, some EQ, and crucially the trance gate. The loop giving us a very short kind of granular texture. It comes out sounding like this. Which is a nice little impact in the context of the track. Let me put that all together with the rest of the percussion. So what about bass sounds? Obviously this is bass music, so let's look at some bass sounds. And I just took the bass guitar and mined it for strong, powerful notes. Here's one that I found, which was just gorgeous in its original state. Just a lovely beefy slide. So I actually took that and made a sample in phase plant out of it. If I turn off the little bit of processing, what you've got here is exactly that. And what I wanted to do is create a really wobbly, rough, dubby sort of bass sound. So I've done some filtering and quite heavy distortion, and I've got a loop ticking away at the tempo of the song here. Then some serious expansion for dynamics, some EQ, and in Snap Heap, a formant filter, which is being modulated by the incoming dynamic information, the envelope of the sound itself, so that you get something that sounds like this. And that really is just that bass guitar. If I turn all of this off, pretty neat, right? Again. Ouch. I've got another wubby mess here, which is based on a different sample, I think. Let me open it up and check. Yeah, this is just one beefy note. And again, in its unprocessed form, it sounds like this. Just chucking away, and we filter it, we distort it, we filter it again, and we use an LFO to drive that filter. So this is a boot up shape. And all of a sudden we're wobbling and wobbing away. It's nice, right? I've done something kind of similar over here on track 6 with, I think, the same sample. Yeah, filtering, distortion, filtering, and a different LFO. And then I just added a bit of extra processing, a peaky non-linear filter to high pass, and some faturator on the high frequencies, some monoizing of the low end, some more EQ, etc., just to make this even beefier. It's amazing what you can do with a bunch of interesting wubs in the folder here. This is just factory content in Faceplant. What else we got going on bass-wise? This bass is just a sort of subby rumble, and it sounds like this. And I've taken away some attack on that so that it's really just sitting underneath the build-up there. Filtering, distortion, and so on. Got an octave going on, mixed at about halfway. Without it, it sounds a little bit weak. Really just rumbling away down there. And what's this little fella here? Let's check. Oh yeah, now that's slightly interesting. There's a pan going on here with one of the LFOs. I just wanted the phrase to start on the right and finish on the left, so that's exactly what it's doing. And this non-linear filter is being moved around according to the incoming pitch. Just to give it a little wobbly feeling. What else is interesting here? I kind of like what's happened with the lead guitar here. So we've got a really cool sound out of the original track that just goes like this. And I thought it would be fun to fool around with that. I just added a little bit of fuzz and high frequency content. But then on this channel here, I've loaded that sample again into Faceplant so that it's kind of playable. Now I can just, to my heart's content, it's a little feature moment in the track. And the other lead guitar sample that I took from a track full of cool lead guitar nonsense was this. Because it screams. And the only fun, clever thing I've done here is set the harmonic to 0 so that the sort of bass rate of playback of that sample is 0. I've shifted up to meet the original pitch, 349 point something. And then I've tied the note modulator to the pitch shifter here so that essentially I have time-stretched pitch control. So it'll always play back at the same speed, but it will play back at different pitches. So I can go... And I took advantage of that to give us a screamy little moment here. One other interesting guitar thing, there's a little bit of acoustic guitar in the original track, and I thought it would be fun to drench it in a sort of shimmer reverb, because that's what I always do to acoustic guitar. It's my favourite thing. So a little bit of high frequency addition, followed by pitch shifting, reverb, more pitch shifting, more reverb. And same thing repeated over here, just some nice little chords dragged out. to bring a total change of atmosphere at certain moments in the track. I think it's really cool when you're working with really subby bass content to add just little twinkles here and there to stretch the frequency range around. There's one other guitar moment which I've done a similar but unrelated thing to. I've just pitch shifted this up and added some quantizing distortion to make it sound like a kind of video game mandolin or something. And again, just trying to make some contrast in textures and frequency content. Now, good time to move on to talking about the vocals, I think. I haven't actually done a ton to the vocals. I stretched them in time a bit and just took this one hook out. But at this moment, I've added, again, octave up pitch shifting just to make things a little more interesting. And just some general cleanup, EQ, reverb. The first phrase at the very beginning of the song, slightly more interesting. I took a backing vocal line from the end of the song. Automated a delay and a filter. And what's going on in Snap Heap here is obviously some high pass filtering and then a very, very slow frequency sine wave ring modulation, which actually ends up sounding just like a pan modulation once you put the spread up to max. And obviously some flanging. And the final slightly interesting element is these backing vocal parts that, again, I've just culled from moments in the song, nondescript little touches in the original song, but I've tried to bring them out and feature them here. So the first one sounds like this without processing. And what I've done is simply shift the balance of the frequency content and then apply this frequency shifting in parallel so that there's a sort of wibbly wobbly noise. It's just extra ear candy, really, but it sounds like this. So you're getting that additional color. And the same thing over here. Another little phrase out of the backing vocals. And with the same additional nonsense. Just contributes to the chaos in the track. So let's take it from a couple of bars before. So that was a bunch of fun. Please do subscribe to the Kilohearts channel if you want to learn more about these cool products for manipulating audio in all its magnificent forms. And let's take a listen to the finished thing.